So I am now doing part 2, Electric Boogaloo, of World Conqueror 4, Inaccuracies, Conquest, 1939. Let's go again. The first thing that I wrote down was the Baltic states. They're just... oh, no. Somehow they made Estonia basically not exist. And Lithuania is like tiny. And Latvia, it's just no. Actually, I lied. Estonia's one tiny little island when they should own 2 tiny islands and like maybe 3 even tinier islands. And also mainland Estonia. But they don't because apparently it's now just ocean. Great. The second thing that I wrote down was Denmark for some reason has Schleswig-Holstein. Completely butchered that. I don't know why they have it. It's been maybe 50 to 100 years maybe since they last had it. Because, Prussia became like, yes, give me that now. Third thing that I wrote down is, for some reason, the Istrian Peninsula just doesn't exist. I don't know why. It does exist in real life, I think. Then there's probably like thousands of people that just don't exist. The fourth thing that I wrote down was, for some reason, they made the Balkans really tiny and smushed together. Like, if you looked at Greece, Crete is like very tiny and extremely close to mainland Greece. And I'm pretty sure they only have Athens when they have like a couple other cities. And they're missing about 1,000 islands. 1,000 island dressing. They're missing that as well. The fifth thing that I wrote down, it's the fifth. Turkey owns Georgia and half of Armenia. And the other half of Armenia and all of Azerbaijan is owned by Iran, even though they probably should be owned by the Soviets because they controlled that, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, I'm very sure. Extremely sure. So sure that the universe will explode in about 5 seconds. Back on topic. Another thing that I wrote down was, for some reason, the Kingdom of Egypt owns both Transjordan and the Mandate of Palestine, even though technically they were mandates and also controlled by Britain, not the Kingdom of Egypt. Another thing. For some reason, British Gambia, the Gold Coast, and Portuguese Guinea is owned by France. Well, French Africa and British Sierra Leone and parts of French Africa are owned by Liberia. Mostly the land surrounding Liberia is controlled by Liberia, even though in the real world, wow, it's not owned by Liberia. Shocking, right? Another thing. Spain, for some reason, owns French Morocco. I know, it's an extremely easy mistake to make, but it's extremely big because then you have basically a weaker France because, free France. They don't really had Africa, and a couple tiny islands. And then Japan came, I want French Indochina, and they said, sure, LMAO. And they also own Gibraltar. I don't know why. Even though it's like super tiny, it's still there. It's owned by the Brits. Oh yeah, didn't I forget to mention? For some reason, Spain's in the Axis. Oh, we had already said that in the last video. Well, it's just a reminder. And Mongolia's borders are just... stop. No. They're just 2 big blobs. Literally. They have 2 cities, and their entire country's like you spilled paint on a piece of paper. Yeah. It's just really bad in World Conqueror 4. China also owns Hong Kong. Well, British Hong Kong, Portuguese Macau, and French I'm not going to even pronounce that. It's that one? That was completely incorrect, but I'm just gonna go with that. Canada owns like a tiny bit of Alaska. Well, like the tail part that sticks into Canada. Midway is extremely close to Japan when it should be like maybe hundreds of miles farther away from Japan. I guess it's so then. Oh, you can fight them really early. Oh, well. Mexico also owns some of southern Texas. Yeah, they got that one really wrong. Soon you'll see what Central America is like. It's really bad. Ugh. It's just disgusting. The quote-unquote Dominion of Newfoundland is owned by Canada, and the island of Newfoundland just doesn't exist in World Conqueror 4, even though it does exist. Not like Australia. That is a joke. Please don't murder me. It's a joke. Please don't. Mexico owns British Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, and basically Honduras. Costa Rica apparently just never existed. It's part of the Panama Canal. Actually, no, it's not. It just never existed. It's not a country, apparently. Also not any type of land. It just never existed. It's in space or something. According to World Conqueror 4, and that one Chinese person that like, hey, let's just do this. Easy Tech was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then the Panama Canal is basically all of Panama in Central America. Oh, God. You'd have to remap the entire, map to completely fix it. Because in its current state, it's just bad. No, stop. Oh, God. Cuba owns both Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And guess what? They're also not two countries. And neutral. They're still technically neutral, but for some reason, they're owned by Cuba. I don't know why. British Guiana, Dutch Suriname, and French Guiana are owned all by Brazil. And I also just butchered like 10,000 names, and I look like an idiot. Nepal and Bhutan are both owned by India, even though that never really happened. Sort of. They did take parts of Bhutan. Not really. But I don't really know about Nepal. They could have, but probably not. The Atlantic Ocean, for some reason, is like really tiny compared to our Atlantic Ocean. It's like smaller by maybe hundreds to maybe even thousands of miles in some places. Like how the UK is like basically next door to Canada for some reason. And on that note, Europe is extremely close to the Americas, just like how close I am to the mic. It sounds really weird, right? It's because of Europe being way too close to World Conqueror 4, even though that makes no sense at all.